Hello, racers and race fans. Let's get comfy, let's get cozy. This is part 2 of the Maritime Pro Stock Tour Hot Path Podcast season preview show for 2025. If you didn't listen to part 1 last week, go back a couple clicks and check that one out. Thank you, Jared Butcher, for sharing some insightful comments on your 2024 season, your first ever championship season on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, and also telling us what he's expecting for 2025, which, spoiler alert, he will be chasing a second straight championship on the Pro Stock Tour. But it's not going to be easy, and he had some interesting things to say about that, so go back and listen if you haven't heard it already. Thank you, Dylan Langille, for an insightful conversation on sort of a transition between the storylines of 2024 and what those might mean for 2025. And now we're getting stuck into part 2 of the show. So I got 3 guests for you guys today. I have a rookie, I have an almost sort of but not really rookie, and I have a guy that's getting ready to compete on his 3rd season of full-time competition on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. What do you call a 3rd-year student in college? A sophomore, I guess? Is that the word? I don't know. No, it's a junior. So we'll have a junior on the show today, I guess. Listen, a lot of fun in store and a lot of great guests. So your rookie is Owen Mahar, the 2022 Maritime League of Legends champion, is making the jump to Pro Stock for a select number of races in 2025. You'll like what he has to say about his chances and about his schedule for 2025, and hopping into the old DM Motorsports Pro Stock and seeing what he can do with it. We'll talk about what it means to come out of a good season as a Legends driver and hopping into a Pro Stock. I don't know, Gage Gilby, anyone? After our conversation with Owen, we'll talk to the sort of almost but not really rookie, and that would be Braden Langille. Braden was your 2019 Maritime League of Legends champion. Interesting story there. Made a run for Rookie of the Year in 2018 on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour after taking part in some select starts in 2017 with Nova Racing. Then decided to take a step back from Pro Stock and go back to Legends in 2019, where he won the Maritime League of Legends Tour in an impressive fashion. You'll want to hear that conversation and what his plans are for 2025. He does plan to run the full schedule, so you really want to tune in and listen to what he has to say. And then our junior, I guess is what you'd call him in American college terms, getting ready for his 3rd full-time season of competition on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, is Jordan Veinotte, whose 2024 season was a mix of ups and downs. First podium ever in a Pro Stock at Scotia, followed by and preceded by lots of bad luck, really. Parts breaking left, right, and center, but big news coming out of the offseason. He did purchase Greg Proud's 29 car as a roller, and will be working with that thing around our tracks this summer with more support than ever from King Competition. So what are Jordan's expectations, knowing that he's jumping into a proven ride with a proven team? Sky's the limit? I don't know, maybe. Stay tuned for our conversation with Jordan, but right now, let's start with your 2022 Maritime League of Legends champion making select starts in 2025 on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Here's my conversation with Owen Mahar. And tonight we're joined by 3rd-generation maritime racer Owen Mahar from Hubli, Nova Scotia. Owen, hard at work in school, studying engineering at St. FX, but he made some time to spend a few minutes with us today and talk about an exciting project to come and join the Maritime Pro Stock Tour for the 2025 season. Owen, how's it going tonight?
Good. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, listen, thanks for being on the show. I know that a lot of our fans are dying to know a little bit more about you, those who don't. An exciting rookie class for 2025, as was the case for 2024. We'll come back to 2024 rookies because you know one of those guys, if not 2 of those guys, very well. Listen, Owen, as I mentioned, third generation racer from Hubli, Nova Scotia, 2022 Maritime League of Legends champion. That one came down to the wire, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a close one. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was definitely an exciting year between that and winning the championship up at Petty Raceway for their Legend Series. Yeah, that was a real good year.
So you've spent a lot of time behind the wheel of those legend cars, both sides of the border, from Nashville to Halifax, and many stops in between. Let's help our listeners get to know you a little bit better as you're about to embark on your journey on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Give us two or three career highlights, whether at home or south of the border, that might help us get to know you a little better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as you mentioned, 2022 was a real good year between the League of Legends Championship and the championship up there at Petty Raceway. And yeah, I mean, I've had a great time over the years running down in the States, down in Florida at Orlando Speed World and then Citrus County, as well as a race at Auburndale. Um, we went out to Nashville and did a bunch of racing out there through April. As well as the last few years, I've been doing a bit more of the road racing down in New Hampshire and a little bit in Connecticut as well. So that's been a lot of fun too. And the year before last, I finished fourth overall in the World Finals for road course in New Hampshire. So that was pretty exciting as well. But I mean, between the local circle track racing and road racing in the States, it's definitely been a great time, and we've accomplished a lot for sure.
Now, listen, I mean, um, what a career behind the wheel of legend cars, and that's going to help you carry a lot of momentum to in the pro stock on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. You're familiar with a lot of the tracks. You know, you've run the obviously. You know, you don't drive the pro stock the same as you do a legend car, but you're familiar with a lot of the tracks. Do you feel that does that give you a little bit of confidence at least going into the 2025 season in a pro stock?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited to get out there in the spring once everything opens up and get some testing in, learn the car, stuff like that. We're planning to do a race or two later on in the season, probably. Not planning to run the full schedule by any means this year, but just planning to do a couple races, try it out. We're still going to go with the legend car quite a bit, but it definitely feels good having a lot of laps around a lot of these tracks that rather than trying to learn the track and the car, it'll be more learning to drive the pro stock car.
So you said you don't intend on competing over the full schedule for your first season this year. What tracks or what dates do you have circled on your calendar for pro stock racing?
Yeah, right now we haven't picked anything concrete, but definitely looking at a couple of the 150 lappers at Scotia, as well as some of the other races throughout the provinces. But for now, we're going to see how testing goes in the spring and go from there.
Summer Clash 250 maybe at Scotia as well?
Yeah, we'll have to see how the first one goes.
Right on. Well, listen, I mean, no doubt you've thought about the IWK 250 as well. I mean, it'd be hard pressed not to want to run a pro stock there. What an event it is every year, just like the Summer Clash 250 at Scotia, presented by Atlantic Tilt Load and Superior Foundations. Have you thought about that one as well, the IWK 250 in Riverside, and how cool it would be to be in that field of pro stocks with probably 30 other cars from just all over the place?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know that's for sure the race to be at. And I remember as a kid growing up when dad was racing in the Pro Stock Tour, how big of an event that was and how awesome it was, and not wanting to have an opportunity to race in that one day. So I'm sure down the road in the coming seasons, if everything goes well, that's something we'll look at doing. But I wouldn't anticipate that in the schedule this year.
All right, all right. Slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. Listen, you mentioned your father, Daryl, obviously over 100 starts on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour between 2004 and 2016, 17-ish, if memory serves correctly. I imagine he had something to do with this opportunity for you to make the jump to the Pro Stock Tour this year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got to thank my grandparents. I mean, my grandfather is the driving force behind this adventure we're taking. But yeah, I mean, Dad's out there in the shop working every night. I'm home every weekend that I can be home working on the car. And yeah, I mean, between my grandparents and my mom, my dad, Dale, Sean, Jeff, everyone that's been out helping in the shop to get everything to come together, it's pretty exciting, and I think we're all very excited for the first laps around the track and at this spring.
Well, a family affair. You know, you mentioned it. Not only your father, Daryl, but your grandfather, Don, as well. A fixture of all kinds of racing in the Maritimes over the years. So this Pro Stock car, is it one of your father's old cars that you guys are gonna kind of retrofit for the 2025 season? What, tell me about this car.
Yeah, it's a few-year old Van Doren chassis. It was a former Nicholas Noggle car, so we've been doing some work to it throughout the winter, getting the engine, transmission, all that into it. We put nose on the car, and just trying to go through everything, completely rebuild it as much as we can, and see what we have.
Did you buy it as a roller or did you buy a drivetrain transmission and all?
Yeah, we got it as a roller.
Okay, great. Well, Nicholas Noggle, he's got some fast cars, so hopefully that'll translate for you as well on the tour this year. Um, Listen, I want to talk about your 2022 Maritime League of Legends Championship for a second because that one came down to the wire, real nail biter of a championship finish over guys like Danny Chisholm and Gage Gilby. Gage was the rookie of the year on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour last year. Danny won a race on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour last year at Nova Racing's home track on Riverside International Speedway. Seeing those guys make the transition from legend to pro stock very well, does that give you some confidence making the jump yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been cool watching them their first years this year. Going out there and seeing how well they've run, like it's been really impressive, and hopefully we can do the same. I mean, I'm definitely excited for it, and it'll be fun getting to race with some of those guys a bit more where they're not running the League of Legends as much now.
No, I mean we saw, last year, Gage and company definitely commit to running full time. I don't see any reason that would change this year. Danny a little bit less, but that's because Danny's all over the place. NASCAR Canada Series, the Pro Stock Tour, still gets the legend out every once in a while, so he's everywhere. But like you said, I think it'll be fun to see you sort of, as part of that elite 2022 League of Legends class, making the jump and joining these guys on the Pro Stock Tour. Now, that being said, probably still a lot of work to do between now and May 24th when the green flag flies at Scotia Speed World. So, what's on the to-do list with this new Pro Stock from now until May 24th?
Yeah, I mean the guys have been out in the shop all week, every week here since we got the car, and it's coming along together great. We got the motor in the car, got the transmission in the car. I was home over Christmas break, and Dad and I fit all the body work around the nose and got the airbox coming along. So definitely a bit of work to do yet, and then it's a matter of going through the setup and learning all that. I mean, Dad's got a lot of experience with it, but I've never done it myself. So definitely lots of learning to do, and just getting comfortable working on the car and get her all fired up and ready to try.
Now, I think you're known as someone who's hands-on the cars. I mean, in terms of wrenching yourself and, putting in the sweat equity into these cars. Are you taking the same approach to the Pro Stock as you did the Legend car?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I find it so hard being stuck up here in Antigonish during the week, but keeps me focused on school, and I've been heading home on the weekends as much as I can there to work on it because I really enjoy working on the cars, and to me that's a big portion of it is the work on the cars, not just the driving at the track on the weekends. So it's definitely a 7-day commitment.
Well, it sure is. And, as May 24th will be here before you know it. I know we're sitting here in January about, 2 months away from the green flag, but it'll come fast. Um, let's talk expectations for a second. I mean, I know you said you didn't plan on running the full schedule, but whatever schedule you do decide to run on the Pro Stock Tour this year, what would you consider to be a successful first year on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see how practicing goes there before the season starts, and depending what we decide to do, just like to have a strong finish, get through a full race, see how everything goes, and then hopefully as we progress, we'll be able to fight for some of those top spots down the road.
Yeah, and guys like Gage Gilby, Danny Chisholm, as I mentioned, they're proof that you can come in as a rookie and do well. Gage had a very consistent year last year. Not only was he our rookie of the year on the tour, but he took third overall in the championship to boot. So definitely, that the legend cars are definitely good practice in terms of getting to know the tracks, just getting into the rhythm of racing, which you've been doing for years. So. Listen, before we wish you all the best and let you go for tonight and see you again on May 24th, hopefully at Scotia Speed World, who's making this possible for you? Any sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got to thank everyone on the car. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. So, Steel Volkswagen, English Jewelers, Raymar Homes. We welcomed on Quick Save Fuels this year, A1 Towing and Recovery, as well as Peter at Point Design Group for all the work he does to make sure the cars look good. And I'm sure we'll have a sharp looking race car here for the Pro Stock in 2025.
All right, Owen, listen, I look forward to seeing you at the track in a couple of short months. We're getting this thing underway. Car number picked out. I think I have an idea, but why don't you let us know?
I'm sure we'll be the 66.
You will be the 66 and the only 66 on the track, so you don't even have to think about a letter. Listen, can't wait to see the 66 Pro Stock on track this year. Thanks for your time. Wish you all the best, and we'll see you hopefully on May 24th at Scotia Speed World.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see you soon for sure.
Well, thank you to Owen Mahar, our first guest for today on part two of the 2025 season preview show for the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Now, let's move on to our almost but not really rookie, a gentleman who's also had a lot of success driving legend cars. Here's my conversation with Braden Langille. And this evening, happy to be joined by Braden Langille, who's making a return to the Maritime Pro Stock Tour this season. He's joining us from home in Shubenacadie, Nova Scotia. How are you doing tonight, Braden?
I'm doing great, John. How are you doing yourself?
I'm doing good, thanks. Listen, happy to have you on the show. As we were just chit-chatting about now, this is a return to the Pro Stock Tour for you. Not a rookie, but someone that's been away from the game for a few seasons and is coming back to it. But listen, a great career already behind your belt. Lots of success right from Bando to Legend Cars. I mean, 2019 Maritime League of Legends champion, and so much success basically everywhere you went with Legend Cars. So let's help the fans get to know you a little bit. If you had to give me two or three highlights of your Bando or Legend Car career, what would those be?
So I have some good highlights and some bad highlights. Definitely the first highlight that comes to mind is when I went off turn 3 and 4 in Petitcodiac in a Bando car. I scared a lot of people that day. I was down in the woods pretty far. Chainsaw and all to get the Bando car out. And that was in a heat race.
Wow.
Came back for the feature and ran the feature. At that point in my life, I would have been probably 11 or 12, and I didn't think that anything scared me. Obviously, I still feel semi that way with being behind the wheel of a race car, but I do have a little more fear now than what I used to have. that's I would say my most memorable racing moment for sure, which is obviously not a good one, but it's definitely the first thing that comes to mind when I go back and kind of look at my racing career from when it started to where I am now. Um, One of my best legend car moments for sure was to finally secure the week-long deal at the Winter Nationals in Florida. We had gone the previous 3 or 4 years and tried, and it just seemed like that one day we failed to complete all 5 days. It was a 4 day, it was a 5 day event. And we always had 3 or 4 strong days, and the other 2 days we just couldn't seal the deal. Whether it was the Monday that we get choked up on, or a Thursday, or the Friday, we just could not seal all 5 days. So to finally do that in the pro class, the top class in legend cars with the best of the best, is definitely a memorial for me. I still have the ring, sits on my nightstand every night, which is that was the whole goal. At the end of it was I wanted a ring. I wanted a ring in legend cars. And then just traveling with my father. Obviously, family time is huge for everybody, but super tight knit with my whole family. That's the whole racing thing has been huge for, like, my grandfather lives down the road. He's down in the garage with us all the time, so I get to spend time with him. And then just the travel with the old man, and getting to sightsee, whether it was the day trips to Maine or New Hampshire, or Kodiak, Fredericton, PEI, just the smiles and miles, going down the road, and the jokes told, and all of that. I wouldn't say I have a memorial race, like a race that I kind of go back and be like, oh, that's what I'm going to remember forever. Like I said, there's good and bad. There's stuff that you want to forget in racing. There's stuff that you never want to forget in racing. And I would say family time for sure is one that I'll never forget. It kind of comes with racing. And then the week in Florida that we finally sealed the deal, and I would say the night that I went off the turn 3 and 4 in Petticodiac in a bando car.
Yeah, that would have made the highlight reel anywhere, I'm sure. And
Absolutely.
well said that the memories in racing are often not just on track, right? Like you said, it's the time that you get to spend with family and friends on the road, discovering new places, meeting new people, and solidifying ties with your own friends and family. And a lot of success. The big one, you've got the ring from down south in the States, and also a lot of success at home. I mean, your 2019 season on the Maritime League of Legends Tour, you won 6 out of 10 races, and that's probably because there's one race you didn't make because you were out of town. Maybe you could have won 7 out of 10. What a season that must have been.
Yeah, we had a good stretch in the legend car stuff. Our program, I'll call it, was really strong. We worked hard. We worked hard on all of our stuff. We made sure everything was tested and true, and as straight as it could come, and all the numbers were to the point that we wanted them to, and nothing was good enough. Everything had to be perfect. And I feel like the time spent in the garage really showed on the racetrack, and the time that I spent, and that was around the time that I had been going to the gym, and I had been training every day, and training muscle memory, and training mind, and doing all that kind of stuff. And it sounds a little corny to say, but results show that it makes a difference. It makes a big difference in racing.
No, absolutely it does. I mean, I'm the same way. I go for the mental health benefits as much as the physical health benefits, right? Definitely a big part of your routine there. But let's turn the clock back a little bit, because before there was a 2019 championship on the Maritime League of Legends Tour, let's go back a couple years. 2017 was your first opportunity to get into a pro stock, and you drove the 88 car that year, I think 4 times, which we now know as, of course, pretty much belonging to Russell Smith Jr. Tell us about how that opportunity came up. How did you end up in a pro stock for a few races in 2017?
So it was a bit it was a casual event actually. We were at the Pinty's race, and I was at the age where I was eligible to drive a pro stock, not at Halifax, and then I could do 4 races and keep the rookie eligibility. So I said, gee, I looked at my old man. I said, geez, I would love to race a pro stock car. Like that's kind of that's top tier racing in the Maritimes. That's every kid that goes to the racetrack. That's your goal. That's where you want to go. So we were happening to walk by Donald Chisholm's trailer, and Craig turned to the right and he said, "That's the man you have to go talk to right there." And I kind of choked up and I said, "I have to go talk to him? Like that's nerve wracking." He said, "Well, if you want to do it, that's what you're gonna do." So I had been scoping around a little bit and kind of waited until it looked like he had a minute, and I introduced myself and I just said, "Hey, Donald, like this is my goal, and this is what I would like to do. I'm not sure if it's feasible for you, or if you're interested, or how we can make it work. But this is what I would like to do. If this is something that interests you, give me a call or text or however you wanted to do it, and we can kind of sit down and further discussion." So about a week later, I got a phone call from a number I didn't know in Antigonish. Luckily, I answered. Usually, I don't answer numbers I don't know, and it happened to be Donald. And he said, "You know what? I think this would be good. And, why don't you come up and we'll sit down and kind of go through a little bit of the logistics side of it?" And um, he put me in a race car for 4 races that year, and then the next year. Graciously had given me a race car to kind of do it out of our own garage and race the full summer. So I definitely can't thank George and Donald and the whole team at Nova Racing for everything that they did, and kind of got my feet wet in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour.
So did you get a chance to test before you were given the car for a race? I assume so.
Yeah, so we had done some testing in Antigonish and again in Halifax a couple of times before I ended up racing. I did miss this part in my most memorable moments, I guess. One of them that I clearly missed was the phone call I got from Donald Chisholm when nobody could fit in the seat to test for Mark Martin, and he called me to see if I would be interested in testing, and I had never driven a pro stock car at that point, and I'm like, I'm definitely interested, but these are big shoes to fill for sure. I got Mark Martin's name above the door, and you want me to test for him, and I had never been in a race car in a pro stock car before, so that was pretty cool.
Hold
But
on a
yeah,
minute.
for
Hold
sure.
on a minute. Hold on a minute. So this was for the IWK 250.
Yep.
Mark Martin is coming to drive the IWK Cat car for kids. Nobody can fit in his seat but you. So your first experience driving a pro stock was testing Mark Martin's car for the IWK 250.
That is correct. That is 100% correct. Very nerve wracking experience, obviously. Very cool experience though. After it took me an hour, I'd say, in the car to kind of get back to myself and get the nerves down to where they should have been, and finally run some laps. And when Mark got there, he said, "How's the car, kid?" And I said, "Well, to tell you the truth, Mark, I have no idea. It felt good, but I have no idea. You'll have to tell me." But
Yeah,
no, it was
how's the car, kid? Well, this is the first time I've ever driven a pro
yeah,
stock, so
yeah,
I can't really compare it to anything, but
yeah,
it went around the track.
yeah. That was pretty much the exact words. It's like, well, Mark, I can't believe I'm talking to you for one, and for two, it felt good, but this is kind of the first time I've ever been in a pro stock car, so I can't tell you for sure.
That's a great story if I've ever heard one.
It was a really cool experience. The whole time at Nova Racing, those guys are all top notch, and to get the test for Mark Martin, and then the next year was testing for Kenny Wallace before he came. It was really cool. Kenny's a great guy. He was super good to hang out with, very personal with all the fans, with me, um, and just everybody over there in that whole organization they were awesome to deal with.
Well, there you go. You're like the tester to the stars.
That's right. Yeah, the test dummy.
Well, listen, it worked out well for you, those four races in 2017, because like you said, you got the full-time ride in 2018, made a run for Rookie of the Year on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, four top tens, if I'm not mistaken. Great season there. And then in 2019, refocused your efforts back to the legend car.
Yeah, correct. So we had some up and downs in the 18 season. Finished seventh on the track in the 250 in Antigonish, and ultimately ended up finishing fourth after the tech shed. But that was probably the high of that race. We led some laps in PEI and ended up breaking a trailer iron bracket, and we definitely had some highs and we had some lows, which we expected going into something that we had never done before. It's a whole nother ball game. You go race a 25 lap legend car race versus a 250 lap pro stock race. It's a different feel. It's a different race. Different tires, different motor, body. Like the whole works is different. So we fully expected to have highs and lows for sure. And after that year, we kind of just sat down and said, is this really like feasible for us right now to compete? Like we're not guys that want to go race and do it at a half capacity. It's we're either all in or we're not going to do it, and that's kind of the conversation we had, and we just said that, you know what, think maybe it's a little early, just not ready for it yet completely. And just kind of stepped away from the full-time pro stock stuff and kind of went back to the legend car stuff and wanted to learn a little more and mature a little more as a person, as a driver, before we made that step again.
Well, that's an amazing discussion there because I think that as a race car driver, it takes a lot of wisdom to know your own strengths and weaknesses and sort of take an overall look at the big picture and say, you know what? I don't think we're ready to do this just yet. We don't want to go show up and run three laps down every night. If we're going to show up, we want to be there on a full-time basis and we want to be competitive. So, a lot of wisdom to make decisions like that. So, having said that, why is now the right time to come back?
Well, I'm not 100% sure it is the right time to come back, but it's the time that we're going to come back. We had decided last winter, late winter, early spring, that we were going to come back and go pro stock racing. We hadn't had a schedule, no car, no trailer, no pit box, no anything. So we said, you know what, let's take a full summer and gather everything up, get our ducks in a row, so we know in 2025 that we are ready, completely ready. We have everything where it needs to be. We have our ducks in a row. We have our I's dotted and our T's crossed, and we are completely ready to do it. It gave me another year to mature, I think, a little more again. Not saying that was an issue, but it definitely doesn't hurt at all. But I just think that it's been long enough out of the seat. I have the itch again. I'm ready to get back at it, and I think this year will be really good.
So how did it come together for you? Where's the car from?
The car is an ex-Butcher car, so it's a distance chassis. It's the car that had won the last race in Petit Kodiak in 2024, actually. So it's a proven car. I've been joking with everybody that it might take the driver a little longer to get up to speed than the car, but that's the learning curve that I'm expected to go through. We're being out of the seat from full-time competition for 2.5 years now, I guess. So it'll take me the good part of the summer to get my feet back into it and the mind back into it to where it was. But I'm fully up for the challenge.
Well, I'll tell you what, last year we saw Gage Gilby in a Butcher car for the first time, and I'll tell you what, things worked out for him.
Yeah, he was really good. He's a good kid. He learned super quick. He's a really good race car driver. He's got a lot of good people around him. So that's the one of the biggest things in racing is the people around you, and they get underlooked or overlooked, I guess, in the grand scheme of things, where it's, this driver's really good, this driver's really good, and somebody has to hold the steering wheel, and somebody has to do a very good job at holding the steering wheel. But it's also the people around you. If you surround yourself with good people, it makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Absolutely. And, last year, I know you've driven Pro Stock before, quite a few years ago now. So when you look back at all your experience in the Legend car and you see guys coming up from Legends to Pro Stock, like the Gage Gilbys, like the Danny Chisholms, does that give you confidence going back into a Pro Stock?
I have conserved confidence. I'll put it that way. I have it's conserved confidence. I know my abilities. I know what I can do when I was racing legend cars and what I was doing when I was racing full time. But I understand that the game has changed a little bit, and being outside of a race car for the time period that I have, it's definitely going to take me some time to get back to where I was. But I do think that the legend cars are a very good teacher of drivers. If you can drive a legend car well, like the Danny Chisholms and the Corey Halls and the Gage Gilbys, like those guys, like it teaches you car control very well. It teaches you how to drive a race car. So if you can get your feet wet in the legend car and do well, then the step to the full body pro stock cars or a sportsman car, wherever you go, it's a lot easier to do that way.
And going back at this now in 2025, are you planning to run the full season?
So I'm going to run the full Pro Stock Tour season. Yep, and I think I'll probably run half of the Super Late Model Series races, and then I'm going to do all of the open stuff at the end of the year. So the Mike Stevens Memorial, the Fredericton 250, and maybe pick and choose another one or two races at the end of the year and try and get to.
That's a busy schedule for you, my friend.
It is going to be a very busy schedule for sure. Like I said, I got some great guys that are going to be around me, and we're gonna plug away at it. And if we end up at the end of the year tore up or whatever, and we don't miss or we miss a race or have you not, then that's just the way it's going to be. But I plan to release my schedule here in the next couple of days, hopefully this week coming up. So, but yeah, as of right now, the plan is the full Maritime Pro Stock Tour, and then just some select super late model races to test for the end of the year, the big ones, the 250s.
And having said that, have you set expectations for yourself for the upcoming season?
So I have some expectations for sure. Like I said, the first half of the year, my expectations are just kind of to learn as a driver again and grow and kind of get back to the competitive nature. I'm a very competitive person by heart, but I understand the time away is going to hurt. So my real expectations up until I would say June are really just to get back in it, get the feel of it, stay on the lead lap, and maybe I'll exceed my expectations and you might see me run up front. But I need to get back to having the racecraft, having the feel and what you not. But I think after the second half of the year, my expectations are going to be race for wins for sure.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned it's important to have good people around you, good sponsors around you. So before I let you go, who do you want to thank?
Oh, I definitely have to thank my father first and foremost. He's been a staple in my racing career since day one. He's the guy that pushes me. He's the guy if I'm lazy and I want to lay on the couch, it's if you want to race, you better get in the garage and get it done. So he's definitely been a staple. And then this year with the Coldstream Clear Distillery coming on board, it's huge to see a local company like that's done so well for themselves kind of break into the racing market and some fun stuff. I hope that we're able to do some fun stuff this year with them in the tour and have you not RLS contracting. They've been a business partner of ours for a long time and they're they do some race car stuff, so it's good to see them on the side of our car. And then my guys, like I said, they're the knights in the shining armor that aren't talked about enough. But one guy can't do it. You have to have really good guys around you. I have obviously my father, Derek Clark, Greg McCullough, Colby Smith. He's helped me a lot, whether he's here. I talk to him on the phone a lot. Wyatt McCullough, he's a super smart kid that he sets me straight every once in a while with questions that I have. Just the guys. My uncle, he does a lot of our body work and stuff for us. My grandfather, he does the running around and gets ice and water and gas and the stuff that gets overlooked again. But it's just those are the guys that really that really make it easy to go to the racetrack and do the best that you can.
And are we going to see the familiar number 51 on the side of the car?
We are not going to see the familiar 51 on the side of the car this year. There's going to be a new number. So I had sat down when I decided I was going pro stock racing, and I made a list from 1 to 99 of numbers that I liked. 51 obviously being the number one choice, but there's already two 51s. So I wanted to switch it up. You know, it's a fresh start here for me. So the new number is going to be 26.
Okay. Nice. 26. We'll look forward to that one. Coldstream will be on board the 26. We'll have to get used to that. Listen, Braden, best of luck for the 2025 season. Can't wait to see you at the track. It gets underway May 24th at Scotia Speed World. Don't miss it. Tickets will be on sale soon. Until then, a couple months to go. And again, thanks for your time and thanks for doing this, Braden. We'll see you at the track.
Absolutely, John. I really appreciate the opportunity for having me on here and getting to chat with you this afternoon.
How cool is that? I mean, I can't wait to see Braden Langille on track again on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, and Owen Mahar, and this next guy, Jordan Veinotte. We know what he's capable of. Picked up his first podium last year. Was Rookie of the Year the year before. What does 2025 have in store? Well, let's find out. Here's my conversation with the 11V of Jordan Veinotte. And this evening we're joined by 2023 Rookie of the Year on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour and 6th overall last year, Jordan Veinotte, driver of the 11V. How's it going tonight, Jordan?
Oh, not too bad.
After a hard day's work, still in your work gear, but hey, listen, got to make them dollars if you want to go spend them at the track this summer, right?
Oh, for sure. We work really hard in the winter so we can take our weekends in the summer.
And God knows you spent a lot last year. Such bad luck with motors, transmissions, rear ends, what have you. And it all, I don't know if I want to say it all started under a bad sign at 660 when you couldn't even take practice or heats because your rear end blew up. Was that a sign of things to come for the rest of the season or what?
Well, it sure felt like it. 6 laps of practice in Fredericton. I don't even think we got out for our heat race.
Nope.
I think we went right to the feature, started last in the feature, and got up to like 5th or something. And like me and Ryan got together at one point and went to the back again and back to the front. But yeah, that wasn't a good start to the season, and it seemed to be about our luck all year. We had really good runs, but the couple of runs we did finish, everything else we just had bad luck. Three engines, 2 rear ends, and a complete chassis in PEI.
Geez, well, we're going to hope for better luck for you guys next year. But if there's one thing that's for sure is there's no quit in the 11V team. You managed to bring her home in 9th at Speedway 660 after all that, cobbling together from parts from Kevin Moore and God knows what else you had to do to get her together. But so a top 10 to start the year. Then I think the big one was the next one for you with your first podium at Scotia at the next race.
Yeah, so we put a rear end together with parts from a little bit of help from everybody. Well, give Kevin back his rear end. Thank him. Thank God that he lent me that. We got through Fredericton. We cobbled together a rear end with some parts from everybody and some stuff I got with the car from Slom White originally, and managed to put a rear end in, had it all checked over and jigged, and put it in the car and got everything back to right and went to Scotia and finally had a good run. I think we had about a fourth place car, but there at the end and couple cars getting into some other issues, and we managed to get a podium.
Now, I almost skipped over some more trouble. We talked about the race car trouble, but was it on that first trip that the RV broke down too? Flat tire or something?
Yes, yes, it was.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, we had a flat tire. Yeah, the first trip out. I actually, to be honest, almost forgot about that. Yeah, sitting at the Irving Big Stop for
That's right.
a couple of hours waiting for tire shop to show up with some tires. Of course, we had all the tools we needed. The bus was jacked up, tire off it, everything ready to go, waiting for the tire shop to show up.
See, basically, you guys had such bad luck last year that you even forgot some of it.
Oh, I think some of it was forgot intentionally, so we don't have to remember it all.
Oh yeah, that's a defense mechanism
Oh,
of the human mind, right? You just forget some of the bad stuff you just forget. But listen,
well,
after that,
the Scotia race that we finished third, we got less than 10 laps of practice, and I run something over and smashed the oil pan out of the race car.
that's right.
And we had to yank the engine and transmission out, change the oil pan at the racetrack, put the engine back in, and missed practice again.
So listen, managed to cobble together a third place, your first podium on the Pro Stock Tour, felt great. Scotia Speed World after that, that wasn't supposed to be the schedule, but we got rained out of Petty, so it was back to Scotia again. And you took fourth in that one, great finish. We went to Riverside for the RJ Poirier 150. You took 10th in that one. The IWK 250, some problems there. You came in 25th. Do you remember what the issue was in the IWK 250?
We actually broke a trailing arm bracket on the rear end. I don't remember if it was a new one when we put the rear end together or not. I couldn't tell you now, but I knew something was wrong. Most of the day, the car was just reacting very weird and unpredictable. And then, it was very early in the race because I know it was before the first half. And finally, the car I felt it move coming down the backstretch. So I felt something move, so I didn't power up. And then when I kind of started to just slowly roll in the throttle coming up at a 4, the car just darted dead sideways and the rear end come forward a couple of inches. And it could have been very bad if I hadn't given me the warning when it broke that something was wrong.
Yeah. So listen, here's the trend. Speedway 660, bad luck, decent finish. And then Scotia, very good. Third, fourth, Riverside 10th, IWK 250, problems. Oyster Bed, good again. Fifth place at Oyster Bed, despite the wreck fest that we had there. You'll remember that one. Stevie Lively finished third. You finished fifth. A lot of cars finished with very little to no body work on them. But you managed to bring her home in fifth. And then,
So I consider PEI a very bad weekend because we were involved in that wreck. I can't remember if I was fourth before the wreck or sixth, but I was in the outside row. And when the car ahead of me missed the shift or something broke, I don't remember. I got jacked up and I was hit by Greg, and and then got tangled up. Gary had nowhere to go and got into me, and it ended up folding the clip. If we had seen it, we wouldn't have went back out, but it actually broke the crash bar in through onto the pedals. The car was in very bad shape. But we went out and limped around, and my brother and Bubba come over the radio, and they said, "How's the car driving?" I said, "I think I could actually pick it up," and they said, "Go for it." And we just survived a couple more wrecks, and somehow got back to fifth.
wow, amazing. And then Summer Clash 250 didn't even start. Big problems there. Motor went. Didn't take part in the Summer Clash 250. Petty, finally we got to Petty. I think it was October before we went there. We were supposed to go in June, but we got rained out hard. So here we are, in October at Petty, brought it home 10th there. And then the last race of the season at Riverside, Greg won. You finished 14th. Some issues there. You only turned 27 laps.
Yeah, so I guess to quick summarize it, we actually lost 2 motors the week of the Cat 250 or the Summer Clash 250, the Scotia 250. When me and Mike McKenzie built that car from a chassis in 10 days. and we actually put the crate engine out of the car that was wrecked from PEI in it. And when we went to fire it up, it locked solid. We didn't know what was going on with it, so we yanked it back out, put an open Ford motor I had bought that we knew should be looked at, but we just didn't have time. It was bought to be a winter project, and we put it in, and it started making a noise, so we shut it down in practice of the 250. So we had something to rebuild. And then we had the crate motor repaired. We went to Petty, and the crate motor laid over again. So we pulled it out, repaired it again, and then went to the final race at Riverside, and the crate motor laid over again. It's still sitting in the car. We haven't even actually looked at it. So that's one thing that we're not sure what we're going to run next year for a drivetrain.
Well, listen, as you told me at the Summer Clash 250, Visa loved you this year. Let's hope they love you a little less in 2025.
Oh, I'm hoping. I said to go through 3 motors in a season would cripple most teams, let alone rear ends and clips and everything else that went wrong.
No, absolutely. As I said, absolutely no quit in the 11V team despite all of these difficulties. But we're turning the page for 2025. It's a new season. We're starting fresh. And some big news from the 11V camp. For you, part of turning the page and turning fresh means acquiring a new car, Greg Prow's old car, and joining the King Competition stable with some help from these guys. So tell us about that. How did that deal come together?
So even before I wrecked the car in PEI, it was something we were considering. I'd kind of told Andrew and Corey to keep their eye open. I knew a new one was outside my budget. I wish I could have, but it was just out of the cards for me. We're a pretty small team in comparison. They told me as the season went on that Greg was probably going to sell his car. Then it just all circumstances worked out, and I kind of made a handshake deal with Greg. We joked at the last race at Riverside. He said, "You could run it right now if you want to pay." I said, "No, you're running way too good for me to take that shoot or the last start from you or something." I don't even remember what the joke was. And Andrew's the one that kind of helped us put the deal together that I think it was fair for both of us. I bought it as a roller. Greg got to keep his powertrain, and now we're not sure what we're going to put in it for a powertrain, whether it's going to be a Ford or a crate engine, but we're going to make that decision here over the next month or so and go from there.
So it's not going to be a Screaming Demon Dodge anymore.
No, it's either going to be a little crate or a big bad blue Ford.
Right on. Well, listen, help us and help our fans understand what these partnerships look like. When we say that, you are going to get some help or be affiliated with King Competition for the upcoming season, what exactly does that mean? What help are you getting and how?
So last year I started getting some help from King Competition. In the off season, they had looked at my car and went through and actually found some stuff that we had missed and greatly appreciated. But the car was not there every week. I still did, well, between me and Mike McKenzie, we still did most of our maintenance and repairs and stuff. And I got a lot of setup help from Corey and Andrew. They are incredibly smart, and Andrew knows these old what my cars were a Hampke CFR blend. He really knows these cars from when he used to work on them before King Competition was a thing, and really steered our program in the right direction. I believe we went from a 5th to 8th place car to a 3rd to 5th place car on a reasonable with the same car, which really impressed us and kind of what led to this King Competition partnership or affiliation. I'm not sure how to call it. I still, as of right now, I'm probably going to do most of my own maintenance work and get some setup help and notes from Corey. I'm hoping it's going to be a little easier on this car where it's the car that they're so much more used to. They can give a much easier recommendation versus us trying something. Because a lot of times when I'd go to the racetrack with my CFR Hampke stuff, I would build what the recommendation was, and maybe up a couple pounds in spring rate and bump load, and down a couple pounds in spring rate and bump load. And we would try both or all three setups over practice. So kind of hoping where this is more their program, we'll have a little bit better luck, but I'll definitely still be getting more help than I have even last year from King this year.
Yeah, I'll bet you the notebook is thick over there on all the tracks that rerun and all the experience that they have. So that, hopefully will come at some benefit to you. So having said that, knowing that there's this new partnership in place, that there's this new car you're going to drive that's sort of a tried, tested, and true chassis, what does that do to your expectations going into the season? Does that change the expectations or the game plan at all?
I don't want to say it changes the expectations. I think it's going to, I expect to be competitive for sure. I'm hoping to be more competitive than we were, but we were with that old Hamke CFR, and I'm just going to keep the one that we ran the end of last season. There's nothing wrong with that car. It's a great old car. And I was super quick, Scotia and Petty more than anywhere else, just because I got so many laps around those places. With that old car, I'm just hoping this car is going to push us past some of the mechanical breakdowns, parts failures, because it is an older car that needed to be stripped and completely redone. We were putting it together with used parts, some parts. Again, small team doing what we can, doing little with lots. As me and Ryan Vanderscott joke all the time, stacking pennies. So that's kind of one of the reasons we went this way, knowing it's going to be a little bit better notebook than what we had for the new program and the new stuff that King and them do. And so I'm excited and also nervous, because if the car doesn't perform the way it should, I can't say it's the car anymore, so it's me.
Well, listen, nice progression from, your rookie season to this year, sixth overall in the championship, despite a ton of issues, as we just discussed. So there's no reason to think that by the end of next season, or I should stop saying next season because it's this year now, there's no reason we can't see you in the top three, top four at the end of the year, and maybe even at the top of the podium one of these days. I think it's coming for you, maybe even this year.
Oh, that would be incredible. I look at a video I made or a video of me from taking the pole the first year, or my rookie year, starting on the pole at Scotia. I know what the way the handicap works and everything, that starting there is because I was in the slower heat and won, but we stayed up front. We were competitive. We were running third, fourth. Like I just look back and I kind of say, looking up at the grandstands, like I, I guess 30 years ago, I was sitting up there playing dinkies. I shouldn't be starting from the pole of a Maritime Pro Stock Tour race.
Well, competition is going to be fierce this season. We know that, and you're going to be in the thick of it, my friend. We're going to wish you the best of luck, but before we send you on your way, who makes this possible for you? I'm sure you have some sponsors to thank and some crew to thank as well.
Oh, Vino's Truck and Auto, R&R Kinsman's, and Blue Nose Well Drilling. If it wasn't for Reggie and Ralph, like, I'd never be where I am in my racing career. Like, Ralph helped us out for so many years, like helping us get to the racetrack with fuel. People sometimes don't think about it, but a couple of $100 every week back then, but over so many weeks. Well, when we're racing sportsmen, it was 20 plus weekends a year. It adds up, and it's a huge savings. Reg, the whole Kinsman family have supported me my entire career. They were on my first ever 4-cylinder car. I grew up going to the racetrack with them, with the Alexanders, and Reg Sr. looked after me when I was a kid, probably because I was running around being an idiot in the junkyard when Dad was there. And Reggie's always done the same, and I don't know where I'd be without them. The crew, my brother, my father, Todd, Nick, Terry, Connor, Robbie, and then there's some other guys that can only make it around some weeks, sometimes here and there. And well, now I got the Blands, or Doug's helps pretty much every week. I think the only week he missed 1 week with 2 weeks because they were, and my brother actually, because they were in Petty for the INEX challenge with the Bandolero cars. But our racing families have kind of molded together. The Blands have really come on helping us, and we've gone on helping them. Now this year, moving up with Haley in my old Sportsman, I guess I'm going to be a crew chief for at least the first half of the year and talk or work with them on that, and hoping to gain some speed out of that with them. So I'm excited. I'm really excited going into this year. My niece going into her second year in Bandolero, and the Blands on Friday nights and me on Saturdays.
Man, Jordan Veinotte going to be a busy man this year. Listen, if I don't talk to you before then, best of luck for the 2025 season. I know I'll see you on May 24th at Scotia Speed World. And may the racing gods be with you this year, my friends, instead of against you.
Oh, that's what we're hoping for. I think we used 3 or 4 years worth of bad luck last year. Let's hope we only got good luck for the next one.
All right, man. We'll see you when the green flag flies at Scotia Speed World on May 24th.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you got it. That was part 2 of the 2025 season preview show for the Maritime Pro Stock Tour Hot Pass podcast. Thank you to Jared Butcher, Dylan Langille, Owen Mahar, Braden Langille, Jordan Veinotte. Are we done for a 2025 season preview show? Well, we're going on 2 hours right now. If you listened to part 1 already, which if you haven't, you should. But I don't think we're done. We got more content coming for you before the green flag drops. Thank you to all of my guests, which I've just named. Can't wait for the green flag to fly on May 24th at Scotia Speed World, which, by the way, who doesn't want free tickets to a race? Email me, podcast@maritimeprostocktour.com. That's podcast@maritimeprostocktour.com for a chance to win free tickets to the season opener. Peace out, guys. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep your belts tight and your hands on the wheel.